Welcome to another episode of Beer and Ball. My name's Andrew D'Agostino. That's Brian Gross. And today we're going to talk some baseball. But first off, Brian, how you doing today, man?
Doing great. Watched some good college basketball last night. St. John's missed like 55 shots in the second half. But other than that, pretty good day. How about you?
Yeah, nothing much. Just, you know, going around, trying to watch as many baseball games as I possibly can right now, especially with spring training on.
Absolutely.
But man, I'm just enjoying the ride, enjoying the ride of, you know, grinding with beer and ball every day with you, man. So without further ado, let's get into it. And my first
Let's
headline
go.
today for y'all: Chris Sale signs a 1 year extension for $27 million for the 2027 season. This includes an option of $30 million for 2028. No buyouts were reported. This builds on Sale's previous deal after his trade with the Boston Red Sox. Sale, who resurrected his career in Atlanta, he was 25-8 with a 2.48 ERA. And right now, the Braves and Alex Anthopoulos, their GM, expressed mutual interest in Sale ending his career in Atlanta. Do you like this move for the Braves, Brian?
Yeah, this is a tailor-made move. Braves are going to keep competing the next couple of years. Chris Sale's been pitching some of damn near his best ball. For sure his best ball in the past couple of years. Maybe contending with those Cy Young years, but looking like the Chris Sale of old, staying healthy, especially with the injuries like we talked about in the first episode, Swellenbach. This is going to be a huge addition that they're going to need year by year, especially with you don't really know how Swellenbach's going to return from injury. So again, just keeping your ace there. Him and Schreider is a 1-2 punch, that lefty righty. That's a beautiful combination. And I think again, they got their sights on the Dodgers, man. They want to go after that World Series. They knew they had a bad start last year, so they want to get that out of his head. They want to lock him up. Don't want to have to worry about it. I think it's a great signing. A+ move.
Yeah, I think this is I'm going to say high risk, high reward type of move because this is a guy that doesn't really stay healthy. He has injury problems, but when healthy, I mean, I was taking a look at the stats. I mean, 2.58 ERA with the Braves last year with a 32.4 K rate, 165 strikeouts and 125 innings. That's crazy. Um,
Filthy, dude.
so
Some of the
he
most untouchable stuff.
Yeah, and he changed up he's heavy reliance on his fastball around recent years, and now with this his slider that has been his best pitch ever since he came up. He's using it now at 47%. Just an elite combo right there. My overall concern is, you know, the team fit and all that is great, but age factor, injury history, and then his recent pitch performance trends, his fastball value has gotten worse since his Cy Young season in 24. So I'm kind of concerned about that. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I definitely don't think you're going to get the best version of Chris Sale's stuff. I don't think that puts into account, though, you're going to get the smartest version of Chris Sale, probably going to get the most composed version of Chris Sale. This is a guy that's, if he's signing a contract like this with a team like this, he's dialed into winning. He's not trying to really milk in his last couple of years. So sometimes that veteran experience coupled with kind of low cadence and having that better pitch cadence could kind of bridge that gap from what he lost on that fastball. His slider still looks great. And just kind of comparing the money, Andrew, this is like what I kind of think of. I know it's a lot of different scenarios, but looking at it now, like you have guys like Sean Manaea, Nathan Eovaldi, Ranger Suarez, Carlos Rodon. Make your opinions on all those guys. They're all around 25, 27 million. So if I'm getting Chris Sale for that same price, that that doesn't scare me at all. To be honest, there's guys on here above him. Like, I mean, when healthy, I would rather take him over like a Dylan Cease right now. And Dylan is making 30 million a year right now with the Blue Jays, so like you can compare him. So there's a couple other guys that you can kind of match up with Chris Sale when healthy. But again, like you said, the health is going to be a big concern.
Yeah, one more thing. He keeps the ball in the ballpark, and teams are not hitting the ball hard against him. He has one of the lowest hard hit rates in all of baseball, and his expected batting average against them was pretty low. So when healthy, Chris Sale he's one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. Heading over to
Can I
America.
give you? Can I
Yeah,
give you hold on one
Yeah,
second. Can I give
go
you
ahead.
three guys and you tell me right now? I've just been fascinated looking at this pitching per year contracts. I'm going to give you three guys. You tell me if you have Chris Sale over him. If you'd rather have him right now this year going into it, I'm going to give you. I think all these teams are contenders.
Yeah, hit me.
First one I'm going to go with Corbin Burns.
I like Corbin Burns, but no.
I'd rather go Chris Sale as
Yeah.
well. I agree. Back to a guy. I gave my opinion. What about you, Dylan Cease?
I'd rather have Chris Sale. Dylan Cease walks too many guys.
I agree. And this one, I actually am favoriting other than Chris Sale. I just think it was fun to throw in an extra guy. Max Fried.
Yeah, I'll take Max Fried. Max Fried had a really good year last year for the Yankees.
I agree, even for this year. But and I think that's just good for the Yankees. I was just curious about that. I didn't really take a look at this. This is fascinating to look at. Some of the guys. I totally forgot Corbin Burns got that big deal. So sorry to cut you off, but
no, you're good, dude. No, that was good because I mean, you don't really think about it that much. You know, the highest paid pitchers in all of baseball, you kind of just brush it under the rug and then just think about, you know, who the top 5 guys in the league are, pitching wise, and you don't really think about the highest paid that much. But that's just me.
But your point's super valid. No, it's like that's valid. And your point earlier about the injury, like especially with how the rotation's shaping out for this year, that health even proves more important than ever. So, you know, this is definitely. I'm fascinated. This is one of my favorite teams to watch next year. So and Chris Sale's a huge part of that.
Yeah, and especially, you know, when he was out, the team did take a significant hit. I know they had a horrible, dreadful start at the beginning of the year, but without Chris Sale, Spencer Schwellenbach only could do so much, and he got injured at the end of the year. So with Chris Sale anchoring that rotation, I think the Braves are bound to, you know, make a big jump this year.
For sure.
Yeah. Heading over to American Family Fields of Phoenix, Arizona, Harrison Bader. He made some headlines yesterday with a 3-run home run that hit a food truck in left field and dented it. After the game, Bader went out to the food truck, signed his name next to the dent. It's awesome, isn't it? What a great story. Are the Giants legit playoff contenders, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, they've made some good additions, in my opinion. You know, you could go through, Adames had a little rough year. I think that just happens in your first year a lot, adjusting to a new ballpark.
Yeah, he still hit 30 home runs, though.
Exactly. And he really got hot the second half of the year, so I think starting to figure out that ballpark, it's going to hit a lot of doubles for him. And he was hitting in a little much better situation just with the stadium and everything. And he's facing really good pitching in the West as well. But adding a Luis Arias, I think, is a great person for them. They need guys on base. They need better average. And then a guy like Bader's a great piece. We got Drew Gilbert, who's a fun young guy. Always going to have arms when you have the Giants. Obviously, Logan Webb, who's going to be on that Team USA. And Tyler Manley's a good kind of sneaky addition. But at the end of the day, there's going to be one question we're going to ask for the Giants is, can they do it in August and September? We've seen plenty of times the past couple of years where they've had really good starts or even fine starts and staying in contention. You know what they're going to have to do in the NL West. They're going to have to win 90 games to make the playoffs, especially in the NL most likely, even just to breathe in the NL West. For them to do that, they're going to have to stay consistent. I have a hard time believing that's going to happen. But 100%, I think they're playoff contenders. I don't think you can take them off of that. I just don't think this is going to be the year for them. I think they added more just kind of veteran guys that's really not going to help them get over that hump. But definitely seeing the new head coach, manager. I mean, that's going to be fascinating. You know, like, is he going to be able to make that transition? You know, Vitello's going to kind of show us. So that's going to be fascinating. That they're definitely an interesting team to watch.
Yeah. I think they're very interesting. And honestly, looking at the over-under totals on DraftKings, they have them at 80.5. I think they'll definitely get over that, especially with that lineup. Adding Luis Arias, a guy that has a 4.2 K% like strikeout ratio, which is insane. Only strikes out 4.2% of the time. Adames and Matt Chapman just balancing out the lineup, and Heliot Ramos, you know, emerging power. they got some guys. They got some guys that can play, man. And you forgot to mention Jung Ho Lee. I know he's not always healthy, but he's a versatile piece for their lineup, and he brings elite contact, and just a couple guys that they have in that rotation too, like Robbie Ray and Logan Webb. You know what you're gonna get from him. He is elite stuff, elite command, one of the most underrated pitchers in all of baseball. And like you said, sneaky good addition, Taylor Miley. He quietly had a 6-4 record
Oh
with a
yeah, man.
2.18 ERA, man, and he hits in 16 starts. It got 86 innings, which is a lot. But he also made an adjustment last year. He shifted away from his slider and threw more cutters and fastballs. He went from, I believe on Savant, it was 3% cutters in his year prior, and then bumped that up to 13 and threw the slider more. Or sorry, the slider less with more splitters, fastballs, and cutters. I like that adjustment because he's kind of that guy that has a lot of run, arm side run. So I think that's a good overall addition for the Giants too. The only concerns I have for this team is how Willie Adames is going to show up. Like you said last year, he kind of had an icky season, even though he still hit 30 home runs. But the transition for, like you said about Tony Vitello, transitioning to college to MLB, and you've seen it in all different kinds of sports as a head coach, as a manager. This is really the first time you're seeing a collegiate coach take the jump to Major League Baseball. A lot of those guys can't adjust to the pro style aspect of the game, and it's going to be interesting to see if Tony Vitello can make that jump, because very few times, like Urban Meyer, for example, Nick Saban, for example, successful like NFL or not NFL, college football head coaches that make the jump to the NFL, but they can't sustain the success that they've had. I want to hear your thoughts. You think Vitello can make that jump?
So I'm actually going to look at this. I don't think they have the roster that'll stay healthy enough to make the postseason. I actually think they're going to be a much better team, though. Some things to watch out for, especially with that transition. If you look at a football and a basketball, there's a lot of strategy involved, right? There's a lot of drawing up plays. Baseball, like as a guy that's coached, you come with your horses ready. Like you can't really change anything once you go onto the field. You could switch positions, but especially in the big leagues, like you're gonna have the guys you're gonna have. So it comes down to, is he going to be able to get guys bought in for 162 games? I think that's going to be where that part of being kind of older and not finishing well in August and September that I was mentioning earlier could actually be the exact thing that he's going to kind of combat. I think he's going to be able to bring that college youthful energy into the dugout to be able to just bring a fun atmosphere, similar to and I know we always will shout them out, but similar to our Guardians, and I love being able to always shout out Cleveland, they keep it fun. They're playing Mario Kart in the dugout. They're hanging out. They're going out to restaurants together. We see it on Instagram. You want guys that are involved with each other because you literally live with each other. You're there for 200 days, including spring training, 220 if you go through the whole month of October for playoffs. So I think Patel is going to be able to bring a youthful energy that I think it can work in baseball because it's not as much of a X's and O's drawn up plays game. And I think you could see it kind of with the Pat Murphy, a guy who was a manager at Notre Dame, became an assistant with the Brewers under Craig Counsell, then became a manager. You could kind of see, I think they're going to be a very similar type of team to the Brewers. Not as good, but like a similar type of clubhouse, just a bunch of guys, a bunch of ball players that are going to play hard for each other.
Yeah, and I honestly, this is my opinion. I think Vitello fits well for that ball club. They have a lot of personality.
Yeah.
He has a lot of personality. And I finally think they have the right manager for a guy like Rafael Devers. You know, he was in Boston. He didn't like not playing third
I didn't
base.
think of Devers.
Yeah, and that was a big issue, but I think Vitello just overall will control the clubhouse, bring energy, let the kids have fun again, because I think that was an issue under Bob Melvin. And
Yeah.
he just gives me those vibes like for example, like Stephen Vogt and Pat Murphy do, where they're
Yes.
calm, cool, and collected. But Vitello is that, but he's also firing when needed. He can fire you
Mhm.
up. He can put a fire under your ass when you need it, when you're struggling, when the umpire is not the zone's too tight and all that sort of stuff.
Exactly.
So I think this is a good fit for the Giants. I'm interested to see how it will play out.
I'm one last thing on that. I think too. I love the points you're making there. I think that's terrific. I think that Tony's gonna nod a platoon and kind of like manage the game as much as a Bob Melvin. Sometimes guys like old school guys like that just try to do too much every game. I think he's gonna, like you said, let the boys play, and he's gonna let dudes just get run. And I think a lot of that team just needs more at bats. So
Yeah, absolutely. But from Phoenix to the Camelback Ranch, former number 1 overall pick Travis Bazzana made his presence known. He went 2 for 3 in his game
Travis.
Tuesday against the world champion Dodgers. Travis thunder cunted a 98-mile-per-hour sinker off right-hander Eduardo Hernandez, providing Bazzana's signature moment in camp. Bazzana is heading to the WBC next weekend to play for Team Australia. If Travis Bazzana balls out in the WBC, you think he makes the Guardians opening day roster, or does he speed up that trajectory to the big leagues?
No, they're gonna hold him for that extra amount of time, no matter what he does. He'll be up this year, I think, just with the lack of signings that the Guardians got. He will be up. I think it's just gonna be probably June or May, but I don't think it matters what he does, even though I think he's gonna go off. I don't think so. What do you think?
To me, I was talking about this with Cooper last night, and to me, it still seems like this front office has an attachment to seeing if Gabriel Arias is still what they
Mm-hmm.
think he is. Um, this is a team that thinks that he has high floor, high ceiling, but he hasn't shown that in his 4 years he's been in the league. They're still intrigued with Brian Rocchio, his contact ability, but you can't ignore the fact that Travis Bazzana has continued to show flashes. I mean, he had an 813 OPS and 2 levels in the minors last year in limited playing time. Um, but yeah, again, I think because he missed a handful of games last year, we were kind of robbed of seeing him last year.
Yeah.
But as of now, I think knowing what Cleveland does and knowing what Chris Antonetti does, they're just going to send him down, manipulate his service time, and bring him up in May or June. When one of those guys, they're both out of options this year, but when one of those guys struggles so bad that they have no other choice to bring him up.
Honestly, that's and I haven't been giving them a lot of credit personally, but I think that's probably the right way to play it. I would lean Rocchio, but I think it's worth giving it maybe 50 games, 40 games to see kind of who takes that spot. Because I mean, Rocchio's good enough; you could throw him right back at short. And then obviously, if Gabe's there, then you're good to go. But I think, yeah, I would agree. I think it's definitely worth the time and to just see who kind of takes the reign because they both know their backs to the fire. But yeah, sadly, I wish we could see him for that first game in Cleveland, but
Yeah.
not looking great.
And we'll break down his pool later this week, too. Watch out for that video, guys, when we drop it out for you.
Yes.
But,
yes. Team Australia.
Yeah. For me, man, it's all about him getting consistent at bats and still developing. He obviously has the tools, the bat speed, the power, the defense to make an impact at the major league level. But I do have another question for you, and I know this is not on the show notes, but JJ Weatherholt.
These are my favorite.
Yeah, you think he breaks camp?
Yes, I think their situation's just a little different. They're not a team that's ready to. Even though I don't think this is really in the Guardians' thought process, I think more in the Cardinals. They're not really trying to compete this year. They might. They could be a sneaky team. They're actually one of my sneakier teams. But a guy like Mason Wynn at short and him at second, that's a great combo. You want to get that bat in the lineup. They don't have a lot of pop, especially getting rid of Arenado. So you want to be able to kind of add some pop into the lineup. And I think JJ is a great addition to that. But I still think if you look at 2024, and I was a Condon guy, I mean, the Guardians could not have picked a better guy. This guy just screams to me every time I see him hit. I just like, obviously not like the beginning of the stance. He just reminds me of a Robbie Cano, like just somebody that's like constantly putting barrel to ball, just like a pretty lefty swing. Um, and he's got a slick glove at second. So I'm so excited to watch him. That's why we're so blessed to get the WBC. Fans are really, really going to be savoring at the mouth for him come May and June after seeing what he can do in these couple games for Team Australia.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And
What do you feel about JJ? I forgot to ask you.
no, yeah, this is a guy to me that shows a lot of promise. There's a reason why he went top 10, number 7 overall. He was projected in a lot of drafts a week leading up to go number 1 overall to the Guardians. But man, he's had a strong 2 years in the minors. 304 average with a 905 OPS, and he's shown power. 19 home runs. That was a concern when he came out of college, was he wasn't, an impact power bat. And that's why the Cleveland didn't take him, because Travis Bazzana is just an overall better hitter, not by too much, but you know what I mean.
He can get to that 2025 mark.
Yeah,
much easier than JJ could for
yeah,
sure.
but Weatherholt, what I'm really impressed of is he's shown elite discipline. He takes his walks,
Yes.
low K percentage, and he gets a lot of extra base hits. 28 doubles last year, 2 triples last year. He's just a guy that, I mean, continues to improve every single year. Tearing up the minors. He's just gonna, be up in the big leagues soon enough. Even though he's a non-roster invite, I think he breaks camp for the Cardinals.
Yeah, and they don't need like from him. I don't think they need to go get power from other guys. They don't need him to be a 20, 25, 30 home run guy. If you have him and Mason winning, you're 1 and 2. That's a fucked up scenario for any pitcher, man. Those are guys that work counts, that are fast, that get on base. And it's a righty lefty. Like, I hate facing that to start. So if they could find, I mean, Jordan Walker is not going to be that guy, but if they could find, hypothetically, if Jordan Walker, Burleson, and Gorman, let's say, fill out that 3, 4, 5.
Well, don't forget
Newt
Bar
as well.
Yeah, Herrera too.
I forgot about Ivan. Yeah. So you also got Ivan and Newbar. So if you can get like one more power bat, dude, I'm telling you, I think that I love that you pivoted to the Cardinals, because they're like that. The Cardinals, we were just talking about them. Holy crap. The Orioles and the Braves. Cardinals, Orioles, Braves are like the 3 teams this year that I'm very excited to watch especially on MLB.tv. We don't have a sponsor yet, but sponsor us.
Please.
But those are like 3 teams. Yeah, please. We need money. Those are the 3 teams I'm super excited for. So if one of those guys can step up and do like a 30 home run roll, which, you could see with maybe a Burleson or a Newbar, that team's fascinating. Or they might just double you to death. That's very possible too.
Yeah, there's a lot of talent on this team, and I know everybody's out on Jordan Walker, but he's only 23 years old.
Yeah,
To me, I like the swing. I like what he brings. Right now, Fangraphs has him batting 239 with 15 dingers in, a WAR of 0.5. That's not great, obviously, but it would be a level up from what he's provided for the Cardinals with negative 1.2 WAR last year and a WRC plus of 66. To me, if Jordan Walker takes that level up, I think the Cardinals find themselves in a unique position, not in contention or anything. I don't think they make the playoffs, but to speed up their rebuild, because they have pieces like Lars Nootbaar, Ivan Herrera, like we said. Alec Burleson's a really good ball player. The one guy I'm kind of out on, and I know nobody really talks about him, Nolan Gorman. He strikes out too much. He just hits dingers and strikes out.
Nolan Gorman's dog shit.
Yeah, I'm kind of out on him. Right, Fangraphs has him batting 4th, but I would like to see Victor Scott.
Russell Branyan.
Yeah, I mean, just see those guys level up. But the Cardinals are, intriguing a little bit. They're going to be a fun team to watch. I won't say that they're going to make the playoffs, but they're going to be interesting to see how.
I don't think they're going to strike out a lot.
No, I mean, they brought in Ryan Stanek too for a good piece that they're probably going to trade towards the end of the year. So I'm Dustin May too. Like, they have pieces.
Dustin May as well.
Yeah. All right.
It's an interesting team.
Yeah, it is, man. I'm excited for them. But yesterday,
Baseball's back.
yeah, baseball's back, baby. Yesterday, the Bronx Bombers announced that they were retiring CC Sabathia's number 52. You know, Sabathia, the big dominant lefty early on, signed in 2009, and over his career with the Yankees was 19 and 8. Sorry, no, in that season alone, 19 and 8 with the 3.37 ERA, 230 innings pitched. He was a World Series champion, the ALCS MVP. You know, for me, this is just awesome because I grew up watching CC. He's one of the first Indians players I could remember. Um, but he's made an impact on the game more than anybody like in the last I feel like 12 years on and off the field. He doesn't really get the credit enough, but I mean, he ranks everywhere, top 5 to 7 on the Yankees all-time list. What was your favorite CC Sabathia moment in his career?
So my favorite, I'll give you two actually, because one of them's a personal moment. Two moments. I'm going to go with the regular one here. I love when he went in. I hate when we traded him, but when we did, I understood. My dad kind of explained me. I was about 11 years old when we traded him, and then Cliff Lee the next year. That how like rebuilding teams trade. So I kind of understood it. I think it was maybe his like first or second start. He goes in and hits a bomb. I looked it up who it was off of, so nobody say I just pulled this out of my ass. Homer Bailey, and I do remember this home run with the Brewers because it was literally like his first or second game, and all my buddies were like, "Man, we're excited to see like CC hit every day." Because for the new baseball fans, the NL actually used to have pitchers hit. I know that's crazy. Look those
For
up.
a while.
Dude just absolutely hit a tank. Yeah, for a while, dude. Shout out Mad Bum. Dude hit a tank to right field. And then just the constant years of pitching with that Chief Wahoo on his hat, man. Like you said, he was one of those Indians like Grady, Cliff Lee, Travis Hafner. He's one of those. That was the first team for a lot of our generations of the first World Series bound team that sadly didn't get to a World Series, but got pretty damn close, one game away. And then the other one I wanted to share with you was me and my dad were at a game. This is when they were the Akron Arrows, not the Rubber Ducks. So this was way back in the day. I was about 8 years old. My dad remembers this way better than I do. And there was a prospect hitting the radar gun back in the day because they didn't have the radar gun up at the scoreboard on the studio or in the stadium yet. And there was a guy ripping the radar gun, big, tall mother effer. I like to say, I don't want to swear on here. Ripping the radar gun. Sure enough, we asked him, like, "Oh, you know, are you on the scouting team, your staff?" Sure enough, my dad introduces him. I'm an 8-year-old kid, so I don't even know what's going on. Sure enough, it's CC Sabathia ripping and getting, because whoever wasn't starting that day was basically getting the notes of how high the velocities were for each pitch and all that. So that was kind of a fun moment where he interacted with my dad and was like kind of a nice little cool moment in minor league ball. But just like you said, changes the game in so many different ways, impacts it for so many different communities in good ways. Always leaves a good imprint on every team he played for. One of the best lefties I can remember in my lifetime, and just kind of like similar to like a Trent Williams, just kind of a big swaggy guy that you gotta love as a sports fan. Like anybody that can move like that and still be able to jump off the mound. He was like a big cat, man. Like he was so good off the mound. His stuff was filthy. His command was excellent. Shout out to CC. He deserves this for sure.
Yeah, and you know, I see the clip all the time too, like of him hitting that home run at Dodger Stadium when he was an Indian. But I think my personal favorite moment is because my dad and I, we always hate watching the Yankees, no matter what. I think everybody does. But my personal moment is 2012, the ALDS Game 5 against the Orioles, where he threw the complete game. In his first complete game, it was the first complete game in 17 playoff starts for him. Yeah, I mean, the Yankees, they had a stacked team back then, too. I mean, they always do, but here are the team lines that game. 185 average for the Yankees. Just 267 on base, 333 slug in that game. So they did absolutely nothing. They only scored 3 runs against the Orioles. But the Orioles only had 1 run on 4 hits. So I mean, Sabathia, he's got a lot of signature playoff moments, and he's got a lot of moments in general. Just a gritty guy that, you know, likes to compete.
Definitely a Hall of Famer. I
Hmm.
see him with the first ballot. If it's not first ballot, I mean, we know how some of these voters are, and we'll get to that when we get into like when that comes up for our first predictions and if people get in. But there's no way this dude's not. He is in the Baseball Hall of Fame, isn't he? No, last year. Yeah,
Last
he
year,
got
yeah.
in last year.
Hmm.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm stupid. Last year, cool. First ballot. Yeah, no, they did a good job. Good job, committee.
Yeah. But that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you for tuning in. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on Beer and Ball. Peace.
All right, see you guys.